Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Sasquatch Watch Radio with your hosts, Billy Willard and the Blog Squatcher. Strap in, hold on tight, get ready, because it is about to go down.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is Monday, May 18th, 2009. I want to welcome everybody to the show, and I apologize if everyone's having technical difficulties logging into the show. My understanding is that there is several people having some problems getting onto the show, so I apologize for the technical mishaps that are going on right now, and hopefully Blog Talk will fix the issue soon. We are, and when I say we, I'm talking about myself. I am currently live in Seattle, Washington, after attending the Bigfoot Round-Up in Yakima, Washington, over the weekend. And before we get into this information and all the good times, I want to welcome the great and illustrious D.B. Dollar.
Well, thank you very much. I am, at this moment, wrestling with the chat business. I don't know why it isn't working. There's two different ways to start a chat. I've tried both of them, and while the chat room will open and I can type all I want in there, apparently no one else can find it. But I don't think it's something I'm doing wrong. Don't blame me. I think I'm pressing the right button.
It is odd, I have to say.
It's not happening.
Yep.
But for a while, the switchboard was frozen up. So we had about 10 minutes, up until about 3 minutes before the show started, where I was panicking, thinking that the switchboard wouldn't even work.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, hopefully I'm hoping they're seeing this and that they'll get the problem fixed. We typically don't have many problems with our show, and it's a real shame that something's going on today, because we got some great information to share with everybody.
Yes, indeed.
So DB, do you have any news for us while we're waiting to see if all this gets fixed?
Well, all of the news that I've been collecting recently has to do with the Yakima Round-Up, which you just attended. So rather than listen to me prattle on about what I've read other people say, let's hear it directly from the horses' mouths. Not that I'm calling any of you horses.
Well, what are you calling me there?
Yeah, that poor choice of words on my part.
All right. Well, definitely was a great weekend of events. Had a wonderful time out there. Met a lot of great people. A lot of people, putting faces with names and forum handles and what have you. Roundup took place on a beautiful ranch out near Yakima. It's actually a live working ranch. They had all the cool stuff with horses and everything. So it's a working farm. It was definitely an experience that we will remember probably the rest of our lives. It really was. It was just a great event. Started out, of course, we pulled in there early on Friday. When they started the event, we pulled in and we just started meeting people that a lot of us had only talked to on a forum. Of course, their names, but just to name a few, I was able to talk with Kathy Strain, who did have a part also at the Bigfoot Roundup. Got to meet her husband Bob Strain. We had Monica Rawlings there from Texas. Craig Woolheater was there. Of course, we had Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Dr. Bindernagel, just we can sit here and name names all night. That might take up to 90 minutes. So we won't go into all of them, but it was definitely a great time. And I tell you, there was a lot of, if you wanted to buy something that was Bigfoot related, that's where you needed to be, because they had just about every book and every little thing you could think of. And good thing I brought me a little bit of money. I was had to buy a few. Yeah. But
so what did you get? You have to tell us.
All right. Well, I went ahead and got that book that I think you have been telling me to get, as well as many others. I got The Locals by Tom Powell.
That's a good one.
So I wanted to get that book. I got a CD made by Liza. What was her last name? Little Liza Jane, which apparently is a compilation of Bigfoot songs that, and the Sierra sounds are kind of incorporated in it, but she does some songs about Bigfoot and some other things. So, I bought the CD. It was $10. I said, hey, I'll buy that CD. And let's see, what else did I get? I got some T-shirts. I got the Bigfoot Round-Up T-shirt. Bought several other T-shirts that were there. And, of course, couldn't forget to get the kids and the wife some things. You can't go back home empty-handed there. You know that, DB.
Right.
So,
right. Well, of course, my kids don't care too much for, the kind of things I might bring them from Bigfoot conference. They'd be more interested in, some toys.
Yeah, exactly. But, it was a lot of that, a lot of things to see. They had a barn there. The barn that was on the ranch was very fascinating. They had old paper clippings up of, news accounts of, Bob and Roger Patterson. They had their sighting. Some of the older stuff was all hanging. It was really cool. The whole upstairs of the barn has a second story, and they had these newspaper clippings all around the top of the barn. A lot of other people that, the Gimlins and folks have been able to meet over the years. A lot of well-known folks, pictures, a lot of the old antique stuff. Anybody who's into antiques, they had the old washing machines and ringers and, a lot of the old things that they used back in the day. Really cool place. The place is just well kept and very, very neat, and it was really exciting to be there. Of course, the most spectacular part, of course, was getting the opportunity to meet Bob Gimlin. And I can't say enough about the man. Mr. Gimlin is a very kind-hearted person. He wanted to make sure that everyone there had everything they needed. He also wanted to make for certain that, everybody got autographs that wanted them. He made it a point to stand up on the stage and say, hey, if I haven't gotten to any of you all and given you an autograph or whatever you need, please let me know. He's a very kind fella, and I can't say enough about the man. He's just a very great guy.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I ran into him when I was on an expedition out in Olympic Peninsula back in 2004, and he's really a nice guy. So everybody says that, and it's because that's what he really is. And there's a reason why that seems important to me. I once wrote a thing on Blog Squatcher about why people should not be hammering on the guy as a hoaxer, which some people have done. Not a lot of people, but some people. And I really think it's, you have to look at somebody's life and what they've done when you don't really have any evidence of hoaxing. The only evidence of any kind of a hoax that anybody could ever point to is that they don't believe that Bigfoot exists. When they're talking about the Patterson-Gimlin film. The film's been analyzed over and over again, and nobody can point to something which proves it's a hoax. So when they say, well, it's a hoax because I don't believe in Bigfoot, they're also insulting Mr. Gimlin, who has staked, his reputation that he believes that he knows what he saw, and he tells us what he saw. If you look at his whole life, he has never sought, the kind of fame that he might have out of it. For many years, he never even talked about it. He has never sought any, like he goes to these conferences and things, but he doesn't make a great big pile of money out of this stuff. You know, he might. Other people in his place would be turning that into some kind of a gold coin factory if they could, if you know what I mean. There are other people, and we all know who they are, who would have done everything they could to turn that into money. He has not lived the life you would expect a hoaxer to have lived. He has not been involved in other dubious, shady businesses. He's been busy doing his job, which is breaking horses, which is, you know, if you talk to the guy for more than 5 minutes, after he's told you what he knows about the Bigfoot, the next thing he likes to talk about is his job, breaking horses, because he loves it. That's what he would rather be talking about.
Yeah.
So when you put all that together.
Yeah, and I agree with you. What's that?
I was just saying that when you put all that together, you don't have the profile of a hoaxer.
Right. That's correct. Yeah, and I tell you, that was one of the main features, really, of this whole roundup. You know, a lot of people thought that this was just about a conference, and it really wasn't what it was at all. It was a tribute. It was a tribute to Bob Gimlin, to bring a bunch of folks together, you know, who have been friends with Bob for a while, people that all like Bob, and that's really what it was. As a matter of fact, you know, they just to give you a quick preview, my understanding is that there is a book currently being written that will soon be published, and it is a biography about Bob Gimlin and his life. And it's not just about, you know, Bigfoot. It's about all the things this man has done. He's helped a lot of people. You know, the folks there that allowed everybody to use the ranch for this roundup. You know, they've been friends with Bob for a long time, and if you were to listen to them talking about Bob, I mean, they treat Bob like family because that's, you know, he's helped them out so many times. So I mean, it's nice to know that we still have good people, you know, good people in the world, you know. So I could go on for hours. I mean, this guy made it a point to make absolutely certain that everybody was happy. I just pulled up the switchboard, DB, just so you know. Oh. And I see that
chat problem.
I'm working on it. I see that we have several people on the line.
Yes.
I don't know if you're seeing that on your end. Yes,
we did have a few more on there a minute ago, but some of them have since dropped off. It looks like none of them are asking to talk just yet.
Okay.
There was one before that looked like they wanted to talk, but we can start getting to those if you like.
All right, I got the chat room open. I don't know. Hopefully it'll start working for everybody else.
We'll type something in and see if I see it.
I actually see where you have typed in saying try this again.
Okay.
So hopefully this thing's working now, but we'll find out because those people will start piling in once we know everything is open. Yeah. You just type in maybe it will work. Yes,
but I still don't see you. Well, I wouldn't because you're Sasquatch Watch Radio also.
Right, it's going to say the same.
I'll sign out and go in as Blog Squatcher, see if that changes anything.
I just typed in something. Just tell me if you get it.
Oh, you know what?
You got it?
Yeah,
you see that one?
I see. Yeah.
Okay.
So you and I are in there. We can chat.
So JC will be typing under Sasquatch Watch Radio as well. So
yeah, he'll be the one in red.
He'll be the one in red. That's correct. And hopefully everybody else will be in there soon because Bruce has been trying to get in as well. So hopefully he'll get on there. Well, I guess do we want to start taking some callers just to see who we got on here today?
Yeah, a couple more of them have dropped off, so maybe we should take them so they don't all.
All right, go ahead and.
All right, so I'll read some numbers. We have one from the 571 area code, which is local to us. Would that maybe be your brother listening? Let's check.
It could be, but we can check.
Let's find out. Okay, 571, you're on the air.
That's me. That's Jason. How you doing, Jason?
I'm good. How's your trip so far?
It's just fine. I'm talking to you live right now from Seattle, Washington. I can almost look out the window and see the airport out here. So I tell you, if you ever get a chance to go, I don't know if you've been over here or not, but I got some amazing pictures to share with you. You're gonna love it. It's beautiful.
Well, I'd love to see those pictures.
So You want me to have DB to put you back on mute?
Yeah, just put me on mute.
All right, go ahead and mute him, DB.
He is muted. I am going to skip down to the next one with the little hand-raised icon, which is a 541 area code number.
Okay.
Let's see if this will turn on for me. All right, that didn't work. Try again. Okay, caller in the 541 area code, you're on the air.
Hey, this is Toby out of Eugene, Oregon.
Hey, Toby.
On the show.
Yeah, hey there. Thanks for taking my call here. Big fans of your guys's.
Oh, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
So I'm a local researcher here. Been doing this for the last couple of years in lieu of a set of interesting tracks that my 6-year-old son and I found here in a place called Springfield, Oregon, really close to a suburb, but interesting enough tracks. I guess my question is, me and my son like to do this together. In regards to maybe the fact that maybe he's a little bit too young to do something like this. I don't, as far as the danger associated with some of the aggressive things that we're talking about here, I'm not quite sure how good this would be to continue to do, but he shows interest in doing it, and I certainly have my interests all perked up, so I do a lot of it without him. But, you know, do you guys ever go out with your kids? And if you do, how old are they when you go?
Yes, we do. My kids are grown up now, of course. I've got a 19-year-old. Actually, he just turned 20. I got a 20-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 17-year-old. But they started out, when they were, my youngest one was 13.
Yeah.
But how old is your kid?
Well, my son is going to be 7. He's pretty young. He's been hiking, though, since he was about 2.5. So he's got it in his blood to be out in the woods with me. It's just the size.
Yeah, I guess you said you were in Oregon?
Yeah. In fact, I hail out of Seattle, so you're in my old neck of the woods.
Oh, okay. Well, it's I tell you, it's we have somebody that's taking us around today, and he's kind of showing us the sights here, and it's definitely a very interesting place. We went to what's that place called, Mike? What's that famous mall or whatever we were at today? Pike Place Market.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's a wild scene down there. Yeah, that's almost more wild than a Bigfoot run.
Yeah, exactly. But we're having a good time. But I mean, I've seen some places in Washington that just blow my mind. I mean, just the awesome size of some of the trees, some of these pines that you guys have here is just completely incredible. I mean, we don't have anything like that in Virginia. The mere size of some of these mountains and these canyons. I mean, we drove through some canyons. I mean, it was just I didn't think we were going to get anywhere because we wanted to keep stopping and taking pictures. So. I tell you, it's a beautiful place.
Well, I have a theory about bringing children out into the forest as far as maybe increase my chances of actually having a sighting, just based upon the fact that, maybe having a little bit of innocence around me would, dissuade them from my testosterone level and the fact that I'm a male and an alpha male, and I'm not. There's some other researchers here that said that I don't know if you know who Autumn Williams is out of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Elkton here. She said that it was probably a good idea, but so I guess I'll keep on doing it and keep you guys abreast of if anything happens out here.
Oh yeah, definitely keep letting us know. I've always been of the opinion that we don't know enough about these creatures. So I guess it's kind of hard to say whether these things would be violent or not. I just don't think there's enough on record to prove that they're violent, and sometimes I think they're just as curious or interested in us as we are of them. And but saying that again, we don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another angle to look at it from, and you might remember one of your sons, after he had that encounter, was pretty shaken, and he was already there. That affected him. He had nightmares for quite a while. And some of the adults that I know, when they have, so we're talking about up close encounters. When you're close enough to actually see it, you get that palpable sensation of their size. It's not an idea; it's now a physical fact right in front of you. I think that can be very strong, and it can be, that could really mess with a kid's mind, I think. Now, I haven't taken my kids out into the woods, but there's two reasons for that. One is they're not very good at the hiking thing. But the other is I know them, and I think that if they ever did actually see a Bigfoot, it would be a long time before they got over it. So that is a consideration. Sure. It's not just how violent they might be. It's the fact that, your kid's going to be affected by the sighting. You have to know your kid.
Yeah, that's kind of the angle I was going with it, too. I was kind of leaning away. We started a blog together just to cite our experiences, where we're going, what we've done, our call blasting.
What's the name of your blog?
Sure. Our blog is called Backyard Bigfoot at Blogspot.
Cool.
And so we try to get out at least once a month right now, just based upon our schedule. But we had a nice research area out in St. Helens last week and went up to a town called Cougar. And we came across the store that was being foreclosed. I don't want to give away too much information about this, because the best part about it's coming up. There was some casts up at this store that were I made an offer to buy. One was it must have been 19, 20 inches long. And,
wow.
4 inches wide, and above it was this scratchy little handwriting that said Renee DeHinden above it.
Wow.
And
that's awesome.
So I tried to get some idea of whether this was legit, but the pour on it. Well, I have them up on the blog there, so you can take a look. But maybe I can't find out if these are repours from original casts. One looks like it's pretty fresh. And,
right.
But real quick, I just want to get a sense here, because I've interviewed a couple different people that had some multiple encounters here, and I'm really curious about this question here. How has Sasquatch affected your faith, if you were people of faith beforehand, as far as your belief system as it relates to, creation?
That is an excellent question. And I knew that somewhere, someday, someone would ask that question. A lot of different religions look at this, in different ways, and it's amazing how many different ways they look at it. Mm-hmm. In my perspective, and in my feelings, and I have to say my feelings because there's nothing probably biblical about this at all, but, these things, as far as I'm concerned, were created. I think they were created beings. Don't think there's really any type of an evolutionary type thing involved at all. But again, that's my personal belief. My mind is open. I don't know what they are. I do know that some religions shun it. The religion that I was most recently in basically looks at Bigfoot as a demonic type thing, and that you shouldn't have anything to do with it, and you shouldn't even speak about it. So I know there's a lot of different religious views on the creature. And I know there's other religions that don't look at it that way, but the particular religion I was in did look at it that way. And it's kind of, in your question, or is that something that you're struggling with? I mean, have you had an issue where, maybe you're going to a church or something and they said something to you about it, or is it just something that came to your mind?
No, I go to a Baptist church.
Okay.
And in fact, I go to a Baptist church with a guy that helped make a movie with a director named Ed Ragazzino called Sasquatch out here in the Sisters Wilderness back in the 70s.
Oh, cool.
So we talk about that together. In fact, that's how I got kind of looped up in this whole phenomena here. But there's a lot of Christians that do believe in an evolutionary playing field at the same time, right, with the Book of Genesis. And as
right.
it relates to Sasquatch, it's an interesting conversation to have just based upon the intellect and, the idea of there being a language behind it.
Right. Yeah, I've heard a lot of a lot of interesting discussions about that. I've even had a gentleman show me not getting too religious here, but I had another fellow show me a scripture in the book of Genesis where it talks about two creations of man.
Okay.
Trying to claim that Sasquatch was created as a separate being from original man, but again, I'm not a Bible scholar or anything like that, but it's interesting information. A lot of people have so many different theories. It's interesting to say the least, but I try to keep my mind open. Once this thing is somebody's going to discover something, whether somebody runs across something in the woods or somebody accidentally hits one or something, is really, I'm staying open and I'm ready to accept whatever this thing turns out to be.
Yeah. Well, and the last thing I'll say before I get off the line is it really was Gimlin that kind of threw me into the believability factor, just based upon the veracity of that guy's character. How he handled, people that interviewed him, and that on top of all the enhancements that they've done to the footage since then.
Right.
It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
So I appreciate
it. Yeah, he's a great guy.
I'll keep listening here.
All right, well, thanks. I appreciate it. So you need to just be muted?
Sure.
Okay.
I got some news thanks to Eric, who came on the line. You probably know that because you're standing right beside him. He contacted Blog Talk Radio, and they told him that they think they fixed the chat. So if everybody refreshes their chat, they might be able to get in.
All right, good deal.
Try refreshing your chats, people, and see if that works.
All right, everybody's trying, so we'll see how that goes. Thank you for that, Eric. Do we have any more callers we need to take, DB? Anybody we don't know who we got? Let's see what we got.
Let me get back over here. I was looking at the chat problem. All right, another one with a hand up raised is 310 area code. 310 area code. I'm going to press this button again. It ignores my first press every time. Let's try this. Okay, 310 area code. You're on the air.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, how you doing? Hey, Billy, this is Scott Harriet. I just wanted to know if you saw me in the bushes in Yakima. Or,
Is that why they were spraying the bushes with bullets every now and again?
Exactly. I was the one in the ghillie suit. The one they used in the Memorial Day footage. Anyway, Jody Cook had given me a call today and said you were doing a show and thought I might want to call in. I don't think I've ever called into your show, so I thought I would, and at least present my side of that. I don't know what you guys have been talking about as far as the fact that I was banned from the Gimlin get-together because I leaned toward the film being a hoax, and I just thought I would, give you my full stance on it, and then let the verbal tomatoes fly. First off, I just wanted to say, for anybody listening, that I never, ever claimed that I know Bob Gimlin is lying about the Patterson film. Secondly, I've also said that every time I've seen Bob on a show, I've always felt that he comes off very genuine. I don't get a whiff of BS or, look at the way that guy's talking. He's obviously not telling truth. No, on the contrary, he seems very sincere. Now, that said, I like to take a pretty rigid scientific view of the phenomena generally, which I do believe there are these things, and also specifically the Patterson film. Could Bob Gimlin be lying about it? Of course he could. Could he have actually seen an actual Sasquatch? Absolutely. The only person who absolutely knows is Bob Gimlin, unless, and this is the thing I wanted to point out that in an email back to one of the organizers who informed me that I couldn't go, was that even though I think this possibility is slight, if it was a hoax, it is possible that Gimlin could have been duped in the scenario. Though I think if it was a hoax, I think he probably was involved. But that said, you know, there's so much we don't know about this phenomenon in general, and also about the PGF in particular, that, you know, there's speculation on both sides. We all have our beliefs, and we reach them different ways. But I just wanted to, you know, be clear about that, you know, and organizers had every right not to ask me to go. I mean, it wasn't advertised as like a believers-only thing, and granted, I had never caused any disturbance that I'm aware of at any other gatherings, but I just thought I was kind of, you know, I mean, I don't think it helps their case when you just start having believers come to a particular thing. You know, granted, there's also the fact that it was a tribute, but it initially wasn't advertised that way. It was initially advertised as an examination of the Patterson film and blah, blah, and even with that in there, they still had the ultimate right not to include. There's no, like, legal question or anything like that. Damn it, I just wanted to be able to see the man in person. Maybe my opinion would have changed, but now I'll go to my grave believing it's a hoax. I don't know.
Well, now,
go ahead,
what about Bill Munn's? What about Bill Munn's new information that the lens had to be a different lens? Doesn't that change anything for you?
Not really, and I'll tell you what, I've been following it pretty closely on Bigfoot forums, and I think, first of all, I think Bill has made a valiant effort. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think his attempt at really wanting to find the truth about the matter is honorable, but as his own admission, and I know he says this is what the critics are going to bring up, and there's a reason we're going to bring it up, is because if your measurements are not exact in something like this, you're going to have a margin of error. And when he comes up with this figure, 7 feet 4.5 inches, I mean that, or 7 feet 4 inches, whatever one it was, that's pretty exact. So I don't know. He knows their approximations. He used Green's and DeHinden's measurements from the time. Maybe they were right, but maybe they weren't right. These are tape measures. They're essentially guessing where Patterson was, and so you have this room for error. Now, if this was something, for example, if this was a film of an alleged 40-foot long three-headed dragon from 1967, then I think this type of analysis would be valid, because, you know, we know there was no computer graphics back then, and if you're seeing a 40-foot dragon with 3 heads, you're going, good Lord, that's a real thing. But the thing about Sasquatch, or Sasquattle, if you will, is that they are so close to us relative to height, and even though, you know, probably the average one is bigger, most assuredly bigger than a human, we're talking about matters of inches. So if those initial calculations aren't exact, I don't see how you can come up with such a specific conclusion and call it scientifically valid.
Now, Scott, have you looked at his website that he has up now, Bill Munn's?
Yeah, he actually had it, and to his credit, I thought this was a great thing he did. He had it simultaneously put up, I think, right when he started speaking, from what I understand, when he was in Yakima. So people were able to peruse what he had up. And again, I read intently part of it, perused over the rest of it, but I'm afraid it's, you know, I mean, something like this, and Bill will admit this, that it has to be, he wants it to be rigorously looked at in a rigorous scientific manner. And I think, and it's not his fault, it's the fact that there are so many unknowns about this film that I think will always be unknown, simply because it wasn't a controlled environment. If you're trying to rule out the possibility that it's a human being in a suit on something that's pretty close to what a human dimensions are, pretty close, we're talking matters of, man, if you don't have a controlled environment and you're going with a couple guys with tape measures whose own measurements aren't even, you know, don't coincide with each other, granted they were close, it's just, to come up with something and go, yes, it absolutely can't be a guy in a suit, which I don't think necessarily Bill's saying. He's going with a probability thing. I still think there's issues there. The bottom line is I don't think within a couple of years or whatever, you're not going to see any objective people with no vested interest in Bigfoot, skeptics or believers, coming forth and going, yes, there is no way this could have been a guy in a suit. I don't think that's going to be the result of it. I guess the good thing is, though, I think the good thing is it's going to spark more conversation about it, and I think it'll help educate some people into knowing exactly what it is that isn't there and probably can never be deduced. But that said, I am interested in seeing his 3D models and how those came up with and all that stuff. Sorry, man, I'm yammering. I've had too much coffee today.
Good drink another cup.
Lively radio. And what do you do in Seattle besides drink coffee? I mean, I heard that's about all you got that you can do there. So.
Wait, I couldn't hear that, man. I'm sorry. I'm driving. I couldn't hear you. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I forgot. It wasn't something that was important. Hey,
okay.
So listen,
about the... Sure, no. I just wanted to come on and give my 2 cents on that. I hope it sounded like everybody had a great time, and hopefully Bob, nobody asked any hard questions and didn't have to. I'm grateful that didn't happen. Because I was told of the BFF that if I asked any hard questions, I would be pummeled by Bob, and I don't doubt that. Because I'm 50, but I'm a puss. So.
Well, Bob is little, but he's still strong. He wrestles with
every day.
So who knows?
Oh yeah.
I think your best course of action would have been a hasty retreat.
What now? Hey, what did I've heard two conflicting things on this. Is Bob 78 or is he 80? Did they?
I was told that Bob is 78.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'd read, and then somebody the other day said that he was actually 80, but
he's 78.
All righty. Well, guys, hey, thanks for letting me come on. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry for the extraneous noise again. I'm driving. I'm heading back down to the Southland after spending those nights in the bushes. No, actually, I was in Northern California. And I hope you guys had a good time. And Billy, was this your first time to the Pacific Northwest?
Yes, it was, and it was a pleasure.
Yeah, wasn't it? Doesn't it really? I mean, you're already in the in the believing mode as I am, but I think anybody who thinks, well, there certainly is not enough places to hide for something like a Sasquatch.
Yeah, we noticed that. I don't know where these things could be hiding at. I mean, goodness sakes.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, hey, have a great show, and thanks for letting me come on. I appreciate it.
All righty, Scott. Have a safe trip.
Take care. Thanks.
Right.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Who else we got on there, DB?
We have more. Wait a minute. Let's see. I want to make sure I am not skipping anybody. All right, well, there's somebody who's been waiting for a while. He doesn't have the little hand-raising icon, but let's check him anyway. This is from the 419 area code. Let's see if this works. Now, 419 area code, you're on the air.
Hey, Billy, DB, how y'all doing?
Good?
Good. How you doing, Indy?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Wish I could have went up there with you guys, but didn't have time.
Oh, you would have had a great time. Bruce told me to say thank you for the chocolate pie.
Well, it's about time. I was going to bring him a steak, but the ones at the deli or the meat market were just way too expensive,
You got him over here laughing.
I couldn't afford a side of beef, okay? Let's put it that way.
You've got a laugh out of him. You've accomplished that.
Yeah.
Comic relief.
I just called in to listen to the show and support you guys, and y'all have a safe
All right.
back.
All right. Well, we appreciate it, Andy. He'll mute you.
All right.
Here it goes. And it worked. All right, so let's see. We still have in the 724 area code. 724, you are on the air.
Hey, DB, it's Eric.
Hey, Eric. Well, you're over there trying to save our bacon with the chat. Did it work yet?
Tech support's telling me that just to keep refreshing the chat room, and it should be up and working soon. I'm trying to work with them, but so far no dice.
Yeah. So it was on for a minute where Eric and I could talk to each other because we were both signed in as Billy, but nobody else could find the chat room.
Yeah, try refreshing, logging out, logging back in, see if that works.
Okay, I have logged back in again, and I see all the stuff that we said before.
Yeah, that's all. That's what I see, too.
There's just still one person there. Sorry, folks. Sorry the chat isn't working. I know that a lot of you are missing your chance to talk about Bruce and his steaks or talk about JC and his women. You could call us and talk about that if you want to.
That's exactly what I called in to talk about the roundup this past weekend. First of all, I got to thank my traveling companions, Billy and JC, Bruce, and Mike for Z Washingtonian. These guys are probably the best traveling companions anybody could go with, and we've had an absolute blast from the time we landed here in Seattle, and we're still having a great time right now, and a lot of laughs this weekend. These guys are great to be in the field with. Special thanks to Mike for Z for taking us around and showing us all over Seattle. Thanks to these guys for just being great guys to hang out with and have a blast. The roundup itself, once in a lifetime. That's all I can say. The tribute was phenomenal. It was great to see old friends, old colleagues, meet new people that I've never met before. Folks from Texas, from Washington State, Oregon, California, Utah, Idaho, all over the place were here for this event. I had a blast hanging out this weekend with Diane Stocking, Thomas Steenberg, Todd Neese, like the guys that I mentioned, Monica Rollins, Craig Woolheater. I even talked to Matt Moneymaker for a little bit. It's just been a blast, and it's something that I will never, ever forget. So I just want to tip my hat to these guys for a great time and thank them, everybody.
Yeah.
All right.
Billy, are you still on the line? There you are.
Yes, I am. What I do is mute myself out so that we don't get an echo.
Okay. Good idea.
So, all right. Well, what was since we got Eric on the line, Eric, what was the highlight for the show for you?
I got to hug Bob Gimlin.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, and we also got our picture made with Bob Gimlin.
Yes, we did, and we'll be sending that out to anybody who wants to throw darts at it. But in all seriousness, Bob is probably one of the most kind-hearted, generous people I've ever met, and the thrill of a lifetime for me was when I went up to him and shook his hand to say what an honor and a pleasure it is to meet you and to thank him for everything he's done, for the Bigfoot community and putting up with what he's put up with. He was kind enough. And I was shocked. He said, "No, Eric, it's a real honor and pleasure to meet you." And that, to me, just shows integrity and the character of a man for him to say that. And I can actually die a happy man now that I met Bob Gimlin and had the opportunity to thank him and say, what a great guy and what an inspiration he's been for a lot of folks in the field. It's just, that was the highlight of my weekend. That and hanging out with you guys. This trip has been unforgettable.
Well, I appreciate that, Eric, and I know Bruce does too.
Yeah,
well,
and I tried to buy him a drink, but he refused it. So.
I have to say something. We're always rough on Bruce, and Bruce bought every one of us dinner tonight. And let me tell you, we wasn't at a cheap restaurant. Darn hamburger was darn near $20, and.
Uh-oh.
Did
he know that before he made the offer?
No, I just think he just now figured it out. But
is he crying?
It was just his eyes got as big as saucers. Yeah, so.
If I can jump in there real quick, Bruce was just phenomenal this weekend. We did rib him a lot, but we love Bruce. Creature Seeker's a great guy, and we're glad he's with us. And he takes a lot of ribbing. He gives a lot back. But we have fun, and we wouldn't. The trip wouldn't be the same without him being here. It just wouldn't. So, Bruce, thanks for dinner, thanks for being you, and thanks for letting us have some fun with you, bud.
All right, good deal. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it.
And throw me back on mute.
Put him on mute.
All right.
All right.
He is done. Okay, we have a caller from the 360 area code, which might be a caller calling in to listen, but let's check. 360, you're on the air.
Good evening. This is Washingtonian Michael Frazee.
Well, hello.
Hi. I'm here with Billy and Eric and Bruce and John, and what a weekend. I tell you, just like Eric said, once in a lifetime, something that'll probably never come around again. And, of course, I've had the pleasure of playing host a little bit, and we drove all the way around Mount Rainier. And, I mean, they've seen Mount Rainier from every side you can possibly see it. And it's been a great time. All great guys like I knew they would be. But, you know, until you meet someone, you never really know. And that's why so many people know that Bob Gimlin, when he looks you in the eye, there's no doubt. And if I got to say, if someone is going to base their belief on the PGF, on whether or not they get an invitation to something that was probably a semi-private get-together, then they're not being objective at all. Sorry. I just had to say that. A great bunch of guys here, and I'm looking forward to more involvement with these guys in the future. And I've got some commitments that kind of keeps me tied to Washington State right now, and I want to get out there to some of the other places where these guys are working and a lot of other people are working. But that'll come. And Bruce, thanks for dinner. I really mean it. I appreciate it. All of you guys, thanks for the weekend. It's been fun. And we learned a lot in a lot of ways, I think. And my battery's going low, so I better shut it down.
Right.
I'll talk to you again, and thanks a lot. And it was a great time had by all.
All right. Well, great to have you on. Thanks for coming on and talking about it.
Well, one thing I'd like to throw in there. I know Mike's phone's getting ready to go dead, but I tell you, without Mike, Mike was probably our biggest asset out here. You know, because we would have had no clue where we were going. He took us down some roads through cut canyons. I just can't say enough about some of the views that we had. I mean, just to be able to get to where we were going without stopping and having to take a picture about every mile. It was, without Mike, I personally think this trip would have been a whole lot harder for us to accomplish, you know, because he knows the state of Washington like nobody I've ever seen. He was taking us down back, even in Virginia. I don't know half the back roads in the state of Virginia where I live, much less I don't know how he figured out where all these roads go. But he was a wonderful guide, and if we ever come back, we're definitely going to have Mike with us again because he's just a great person, and just wanted to say that.
All right. Well, that is most excellent. And let me announce that the chat room is working now. We have 9 people in the chat since I last looked, 11 now. So if you refresh your chat, you should be able to find it now. It'll actually let you come in and start chatting.
Yeah. So everybody who's on live who might be on the phone or whatever, just so they know, if you refresh, then your chat room should come up. And we apologize that it took Blog Talk that long to fix it, but looks like they finally fixed it. But we can't really complain too much. I think it's the first time that's happened that I know of.
Yeah. Chat is almost always reliable. It's the phones that go crazy on us.
Right.
But hey, you know, this is radio by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, exactly. All right, who else we got hanging on? Anybody else in there?
Somebody who's been very patient person in the 617 area code. 617, you're on the air.
Hey, here, what's up?
Oh yeah, it's my best friend, Bruce. But I should come up with another name for you, and if I do, it's going to be one that you're going to hate. I think I might call you Chip.
I hate all the names that people give me, so.
Well, then I have to think of one that's so bad. Yeah, right. You've never talked to me. You're talking to Hugh. who has never been on this show.
He
may be listening right now and wondering, how did I get dragged into this?
He was on the show that night I called in.
No, he wasn't on the show that night.
He
was supposed to be on the show, but he didn't make it.
Oh, maybe he got muted.
No, he didn't make it.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to call and just say hello to you and hope things are going well, and just to tell everyone how much I enjoyed hanging out with these guys at the Roundup. They're a great bunch of guys. Mike, he did a great job of showing us around. He took us up some really steep logging trails, and there are a couple of guys here who don't like the heights, and he was sure to really make us face our fears during those nights. So I'd like to thank Eric for putting this together, and really, you just did a lot of legwork to make this all come together, and of course, JC and Billy, just great guys to hang out with, and just had a wonderful time up here. And I'd just like to say, too, that Mr. Gimlin is really, one of the finest people I've ever met. And when you meet him, after you meet him, you just want to aspire to be a good person. He has that kind of effect on you. And there's no doubt in my mind that, he's a straight shooter, he's honest, and he's just very accommodating and just a wonderful, wonderful guy. I just want to say, too, that there's some talk about Scott Harriet, but personally, I don't believe in Scott Harriet. I know that people talk about Scott Harriet, or someone calls in identifying himself with Scott Harriet. I think it's a hoax. So unless someone, proves otherwise, I'm just going to go on, to my grave believing that Scott Harriet is a hoax. So I just...
Poor Scott. I think Scott Harriet is a great guy. He's gotten himself into a little bit of trouble because of his belief that the PG film has to be a hoax. Now, the things that he just went through as his reasons for not buying into Bill Munn's evidence, I wanted to ask him whether he thought that there was a limit to what he was saying was the problem. If Bill Munns is right in that it's a 15-millimeter lens and it's at about 100 feet distance, then that tells you how big that creature is. In order to shrink that creature down to a 6.5-foot tall person, it has to be a certain exact distance away. And if you look at the layout, can you actually make that happen? And my impression is you have to put Roger Patterson pretty far back to turn that into a 6.5-foot person.
Well,
but we couldn't have that discussion because he was leaving. But that's the way I would like to engage Scott, because I think he's a great guy. He's a good researcher. He's added a lot to the field. He's just got an opinion, which we all have.
Who, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that the formula for determining the size of the object, that's pretty much that's crunching numbers. There's no margin of error on that. You put the numbers in, and you get what you get. And for those people who have not seen Bill Munn's website, the formula is that the object size equals the distance times the aperture size divided by the focal length. So if you know three of those variables, you can pretty much get the fourth. And as far as the measurements, well, back then they didn't have laser pointers, and we're talking about two people who have measured that area and came within, a couple feet of each other, and we're pretty close. Now, these are independent measurements taken at different times. So
right.
I would say, because the measurements seem fairly consistent, that I think they're pretty reliable.
Yeah, that's the feeling I get too. Now, but I'm not at all qualified. Since math is involved, I'm not at all qualified to give any kind of an expert opinion. But that would be the question that I would have asked and would have wanted to see what his response would be, because it seems like there's a limit to how far back Roger Patterson can actually physically be and still be filming and having the film look the way it does. and there's a limit to how close he can be. So there's a range, and if you put him in that range, what is the range of the creature's size would be my question. I think that the creature's size within that range is still going to be taller than the person who said, yeah, I was the guy that was in that suit, or, any other regular person.
Absolutely, and I think the, even if, the margin of error is like, say the margin of error in measurement is like plus or minus, 1%, whatever, that's still, you're talking anywhere from 7'4" to 7'2" for the size of that creature.
Right. Yeah. So that's kind of where I was coming down with what I was saying. But I don't want to make it sound like this show hates Scott, because we don't. And actually, I want to call him and see if we can get him on the show as a guest.
How do you know it's him that you're calling?
Well, I'll take his word for it. If he's not the actual Scott Harriet, he can be the artist presently known as Scott Harriet. That'll be fine.
Anything could be fake, I'm just a skeptic.
Yeah. Well, you can call in and bring that up if we can get him to come on the show. How can you prove that you're really Scott Harriet? And don't show me some film, because I don't know what aperture you used. And I just wanted to call and give my 2 cents. Great talking to you, and I'm just going to hold on here to listen to the show. Okay.
Mute him out like usual.
You son of a...
Oh, I forgot I had the power to mute. I could have muted him a long time ago.
Wait, was that...
Oh, you're trying to say something. Too late. Too late. You snooze, you lose.
He got you, Bruce.
I got him. I finally had the power, and I did it.
That's funny.
You know what?
He's still in there laughing.
Okay. Well, listen. We have at least one more caller who hasn't spoken.
All right.
And we all know who this caller is. There may be another one that's jumped in. Yes, there is another that's jumped in. I will, at 757, I see you. I'll get to you in just a moment. But first, we have Mr. Bill Green. Mr. Bill Green.
How you doing, DB and Billy?
There you go. We're doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Hey, Billy, so did Henry buy out the house at the Yakima Round-Up, buying everything in sight?
Yeah, Henry May helped the stimulus package, made the Dow Industrial go up quite a few points. So he helped out the economy.
He did his part.
Let me guess, he probably bought me I know Henry said he was going to buy me a few things there or something like that, whatever, but if he did, he did. But I'm glad you had a wonderful time, Billy. I hope you go to some great areas where these creatures have been seen. I know you said you went to Mount Rainier and stuff and a couple other places.
Yeah, we went to several places in and around Mount Rainier. We got, the places. It was Mike who helped us to figure out where we needed to stay based on where we wanted to research at night. So we strategically figured all that out prior to that, and took us out to some great places. So it was a good time, Bill. That's all I can say.
Yeah. So did you find any possible footprints or anything, or stick structures out in those areas where the sightings have been known to happen, or that you took photos of? Or?
We did not find any prints. We did have some strange things last night, which we don't know what we were listening to. I mean, keep in mind, we're not from Washington, so it could have been something elk or whatever, but we heard some whistling sounds. We heard some strange drum-like thumping sounds. Other than that, we didn't have any kind of sightings or see any kind of prints or anything like that. So, but, the way we look at it is, we spent a few days out in the woods versus people that have been spending years out here, and how could we expect to see anything, on the few days we were here, so.
Yeah, did you go to Mount St. Helens to where the famous Ape Canyon is? Or what?
No, we did not. A lot of the roads, Bill, are still closed down because of snow. We actually ran into a couple of those roads that were impassable. So it's amazing how much snow just kind of hangs around. Even when it's warm, it just hangs around up here. It's pretty cool.
So, did Henry already leave to go back to Mississippi yet, or still in Washington buying stuff?
We actually had a sighting of Henry May in Seattle, Washington, a couple of hours ago walking down the sidewalk, and I know it sounds funny, but it's true. We got ready to pull the camera out and take a picture because he had the stride. He had the PG stride going down as he was walking down the sidewalk.
Boy, I could just see how Washington State's handling Henry.
You better watch out, Bill. He's listening now. I don't want him to cut you out of the radio show.
At least he's not, Billy. At least he's not in British Columbia. Thank God. You know, here I am sitting at my apartment, and I thought I was looking at that phone every morning this week, wondering, am I gonna? Every time that phone rang, I thought for sure Henry was gonna get lost, and I was like, please God, do not let him get lost. And I was happy to hear finally he got there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, at least he didn't end up in Chicago.
I hope Henry did get me a little something. I'm sure he probably did and stuff. And tell him if you see him, tell him thank you if he did and stuff. And
I'm sure he got you something, Bill. My understanding is that somebody else got you something, but I ain't saying nothing.
Ah, so I am going to get something. That's cool. So how's Bob Gimlin doing?
Bob he's doing real well for his age. He gets around well, very friendly fella, and I tell you what, he was riding a horse. I mean, he's same old Bob Gimlin. I mean, very active fella.
Yeah, I was looking at that book table. Tugboat from Washington posted some photographs on the BFF, and I saw the book table of all those books, and holy cow, there are a lot of books about Bigfoot and different stuff on that table there. I was like, wow, and plus that new book, I guess the sequel to Meet the Sasquatches on. Like, the books cost a lot of money there, huh? A little bit.
There was one book there, Bill, that was $400.
That's I'll wait till it comes down to $20.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen.
Nah.
But
I'll let you guys go. I'm glad you had a wonderful time, Billy, and look forward to see you next week, or keep in touch and stuff. And tell Henry to keep in touch with me too.
All right, and we'll be posting pictures for you to look at, Bill.
Okay.
Bye. All right, talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah.
All right, DB.
Okay, we have the 815 area code waiting very patiently. 815, you're on the air.
Well, it's about time, Billy Willard. This is Irish.
Who is this?
Irish
guy. What's going on, buddy?
This isn't really Billy's fault. It's all my fault.
Well, I have to put the blame somewhere. And, I missed the meal. Bruce bought dinner, and I missed it. Life is so unkind to me lately. And I imagine that JC had his thing with the Bigfoot out in the woods, and I missed that too.
Yeah, you had to go there. Now you're on the hit list.
When you start out on the hit list, you got nowhere to go.
Oh man. It was a good time.
It was a wonderful time, I hear. So, and no fights?
Well, not really.
There were fights. Come on. There were fights. There was a big fight on the stage that I've heard about. We're just not going to talk about it. We're not going to tell you what it was or who it involved, but there was at least one fight.
There was one fight.
So,
it's probably Bruce for that steak that someone dropped.
No, that wasn't a fight because nobody had a chance.
Oh wow. Well, that's a good thing Bruce isn't listening right now. He went somewhere. But
He's still on the phone line. I think he might be listening as he goes.
Yeah, so when he comes back, he'll be cussing when he walks into the room.
I can't go for 5 minutes.
I have to tell you, I did see Bruce miss a meal. I was kind of shocked. He did.
That would be one for the news.
I'll give it to Lauren Coleman up at Cryptomundo.
I was going to say, it has to. Daniel Perez would be interested in that.
Well, yeah, you may be right. You could be right.
Well, I just
but no, it wasn't.
I just got the chat up, and of course, then the browser kicked me out.
Kicked you?
I'm having no luck at all here.
I know.
Well, I'm glad you were able to
make Eric mad? Maybe he banned you.
I think Eric did that on Friday night. I couldn't even get the show. There was no one.
Man, Eric banned you?
Well, he must have.
Oh, no, Eric said he wasn't on the show Friday night. I don't believe there was a show Friday night.
That's what I was wondering, because
they did a replay.
Well,
they did a replay.
Joe, and I said, Joe, something, and Joe didn't answer, so I figured, oh, well, that's it. The show's done. If Joe doesn't even talk to me, I'm his biggest fan.
Oh, gosh.
I wish you all the best and hurry back so we can start on normalcy again with this thing.
Okay.
Coming up on time and everything happening.
What's he trying to say, DB? Is he trying to say you're not capable of working the switchboard?
Well,
if he says something like that, he's going to get muted.
Bang! He's going to put you on the Bruce list.
Just like that. Just like that. Now who's got power?
Uh-oh. Oh, goodness.
513 area code. We have a caller who's waited for a very long time. So 513, you're on the air.
Hey, Billy. It's Jody.
Jody, what's up?
Not much, buddy. Hey, like I said, Scott here is a buddy of mine, and I knew what was going on because we talked and stuff. So I mentioned, to give his side of the story, to give you, call into your show, because I thought that would be, something, people need to listen to, because I think this thing's going to get extremely out of hand, and unfortunately, you know how this field is extremely backstabbing, and this thing is going to draw two sides. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have.
They always do, Jody. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much proof you have on anything anymore. There always ends up being two sides, and they'll debate. They'll debate whether pizza was it from Italy.
Yeah.
So it'll always be that way.
I mean, it's already doing it, because, like I said, Scott Harris is a really good friend of mine. I respect him. I believe that he, there's a thing called the First Amendment. You have the right, to express yourself, okay? And he had every right to sit there and give his personal view on the Patterson film, okay? And then I got another really good friend, which is Bruce, that believes that, Scott Harris totally wrong on giving his opinion, because of, this thing with Bob Gimlin. Well, Scott Harris was right. This thing was not, when this first came out, it wasn't supposed to be a tribute to Bob Gimlin. It was supposed to be, to examine, and look at the Patterson film. That was it, and then it changes to this thing, we're going to sit there and have like a roast for Bob Gimlin. That's fine. But the point of it, I mean, for, to say, no, we're not going to let you come because of your personal opinion on the film. I mean, everybody knows Scott Harry. Scott Harry's not going to go up there and say and be extremely disrespectful, to Bob Gimlin. Okay.
Well, personally, I mean, I've talked to Scott Harriet, and I will agree with you on that one point that Scott probably would not have come and started any trouble because, I mean, I don't see Scott as being that type of person. However, it was my understanding, Jody, that this thing was originally for friends of Bob Gimlin, and that was what it was intended to be. They didn't intend it to be like a Bigfoot conference. It was actually intended at the beginning to be a tribute to Bob Gimlin and friends of Bob Gimlin. So that is what their intentions were. Now, whether or not it got misadvertised or whatever, I don't know, but that was the intentions.
Well, yeah, it was the intention, but they also were talking about what because when Chris Murphy was getting did the book, they were the one that sold for $150, it was not supposed to be based on, Bob Gimlin. It was being based on the Patterson film, and that's what it was supposed to be. Okay, but they said, okay, we want to do this thing with Bob Gimlin, which was fine. But when all this stuff was starting to be talked about, that's what it was, going to be. And for someone to sit there and type that, type on there, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I do know what the hell I'm talking about because I got it from the damn horse's mouth. Okay? So, and like I said, see, this shit's getting way out of hand, and stuff. And people are going to choose sides here over something ridiculous for something that nobody on God's green fucking earth, okay, has physical evidence or physical proof that this goddamn thing exists. Okay? And here we are fighting over, he said, she said, over a freaking, conference or whatever the hell you want to call it. Okay? And it's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous.
Well, it's going to continue, Jody. It'll never end. Once the forums get a hold of it, which I'm sure they already have, and all these other groups, they're going to tear it up down one side and down the other. So, you know.
I mean, but the thing of it is, like I said, okay, everybody has a right to their opinion. Okay, everybody has a right, and people need to, to let everybody have the right to say what they want to say. It's about the Patterson film or about Bigfoot or whatever. Okay, but don't, but seriously, they did not let this guy, Scott Harriet, come to this thing on the grounds that he did not believe that the Patterson film, was legit. Okay, it had nothing to do with they thought that he was going to get up there and get stupid with Bob Gimlin. Okay, they knew he wasn't going to get stupid with Bob Gimlin. But the point of it is they didn't allow him to come, okay, on the simple grounds because he had different views than they did. Okay, and it's ridiculous. Okay, right. It's totally ridiculous. That shit like this. And like I said, friendships are going to be broken up over. I guarantee it. Friendships are going to be broken up over this crap because people are going to choose sides. Well, Scott's my friend, or screw you because I'm supporting a friend of mine.
Right.
And things, and like I said, it's going to happen. I mean, earlier today, Bruce and I kind of got into it a little bit on personal views on on the thing there, and Bruce is a good friend of mine, and and I respect what he has to say, but God damn it, let somebody have the right to to voice their opinion.
No, I have no problem with that, Jody. I mean, you know me, I let everybody voice what they want to say, so I appreciate your side of the story.
And like I said, I just felt that it would be good because you're a good, honest Christian person, and I felt that it would be good for him to sit there and call into your show because at least this way I knew that he wasn't going to get there and get shoved off of it. You'd give him the time to talk and stuff like that. That's why I told him to do it. But I'm excuse me, I don't want to take up any more time. It's just everybody needs to try and get along and let's just get past this thing. And Bruce, you're still my friend. You're always going to be my friend. Okay, it's just whatever your opinion is, that's your opinion. I'm going to respect it. And that's all I got to say. But Scott's my friend, and I'm going to sit there and respect his opinion. All right. So Billy, it's going to be good to see you. Hope to see you soon.
All right.
Again, and stuff. You're a good, good person.
Thank you, Jody, and thanks for calling in.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Bye. Bye.
Who else we got, DB? Uh-oh, did we lose DB?
No, I was on mute.
Oh.
I was on mute. I muted myself. So
why'd you do that? Did you start to get impressions that you were Bruce?
No. What happens is I have to do what I just did, clear my throat, and then I'll mute to make it not, interrupt the flow of the conversation, and then I forget. Because this all the time is kind of annoying.
Okay.
So that's the answer to that. So we don't have any more callers that we haven't already spoken to, I think.
Okay.
I'll check against my list here. Yeah.
All right. While you're checking your list, we'll go ahead and give out the phone number because I know we haven't given it out live. Those are probably people who are logged in and looking at the chat. The phone number, if you want to call into the show, is 347-237-5070. Again, it's 347-237-5070. Just so everyone knows, obviously we haven't spoken about all the speakers that were there. Not only did we have Bill Munns give a part, but we also had, and I'm going to have Eric help me on a few because I'll probably forget them, but we had Kathy Strain had given a part. We also had Dr. Bindernagel, who did a part also on the PG film. We also had, what was his name? Randall. I can't think of his last name. From where? We'll put Derek Randall, that's it. We have Derek Randall, who had given a part on the show. We also have Scott Nelson there. And if anybody knows Scott Nelson, he's the one that's working on the vocalizations on the Sierra sounds, trying to pick out whether or not these things have a language. So he was there and gave a part there, and you'd probably be interested in that, DB. Yeah, we had.
Could you tell us anything about that? I mean, were you convinced at all by his presentation? Because what I have seen and heard, I don't know anything about his expertise, his claimed expertise in what's called crypto.
Crypto linguist. Yeah,
linguist. I don't know anything about that, but it didn't sound convincing to me because he started, speaking it in a way where it seems to me like he's saying that he's making an interpretation, and I don't know how you can hear an unknown language and make any kind of an interpretation or what have you. But you saw it, so tell us what you thought.
Well, basically what he did was he has a software program that he has downloaded these vocalizations on, and he's able to, slow them down, 50%, or slow them down at any percent and just actually listen or try to listen to the supposed the sounds as to a possible language. I listened to it. Obviously I don't know the language, and I don't claim to be a linguist, so I really don't know. I mean, it does sound like interpreted sounds that may have some type of a communication meaning. I don't know. But again, it was interesting. I never did hear him say one time that these things were speaking English at all. I never heard him say that. Now, I know that there's people out in the field that said that they were, but I never once heard Scott Nelson say that they were speaking English. So I don't know where that came from.
I might have heard him say that on another radio show that he's been on. He hasn't been on our show, so we could certainly have him come on and ask him directly.
Yeah, we can have him. We'll make that a point. We'll make a point to try to get him on the show. And talk to him about.
We need to start racking up the Scots. You want Scott Nelson? We need Scott Harriet. Let's get these people on.
We'll get them on. But anyway, those are the folks who were on the first night, which was Friday night. The ones that I've mentioned already. Saturday we had Christopher Murphy. He did an overview of Bigfoot evidence and historical records. We also had, and Dr. Bindernagel, he talked about the discovery of Sasquatch. We had, this was good. We had Dmitry Prikolov from Russia, which is an associate of Dmitry and Igor over in Russia. So he flew a long way. And his part, he did a part called Identifying Invisible Giants. And basically what he did was showed a documentary that they did, which of course was in Russian, and he was there to interpret the language for us to let us know what was going on. And the documentary is basically them going around to different areas where there's been encounters and speaking with witnesses and searching for evidence. And he was a good speaker. We had they gave him a gift to take back to Dmitry and Igor back to Russia, which was a cast replica of the Skookum cast tendon. So that was nice of Dr. Meldrum to be able to, or whoever, actually I don't know who casted that, to give back to him, but it was a replica of it. Of course, we had Kathy Strain. She did a part called Stories in Stone, Evidence of Bigfoot and Native Culture. That was very interesting. She even brought with her a stone head, a little small stone head that fits in the palm of your hand that, looks like a monkey face when you look at it. It's pretty interesting. And then, of course, Dr. Meldrum, who his part was Patterson-Gimlin film Re-Examined from the Ground Up. Basically, he talked about the creature all the way from the feet and up to the legs and what have you to kind of bring out some more evidence. But it was very interesting. The whole thing was great. Of course, we know James Bobo Fay, Paul Graves, Tom Yamarone. They've done a lot of work organizing this thing. They've done a great job. Of course, Bob Gimlin did a great job keeping everybody, just, I can't say enough about that man. I can go on for hours about him. But there was a lot of folks there that made this whole thing great. And we really felt welcomed. Everybody there felt welcomed. And we met a lot of people that, it was just great putting a face with names and handles off of forums. So I can't say enough about that. I notice we've got only about 9 minutes or so left of the show. So before everything goes off the air, I would like to quickly mention that next week we're going to do what we're calling the Hoax Show. What that means is we're going to discuss hoaxes within the Bigfoot community and what kind of impact does hoaxing have in this field. That should be a very interesting show. And of course, we invite people who may have ever experienced a hoax or had someone try to trick them on something. We'd like to, hopefully they'll call in, and we'd like to hear some stories about that. So it would be great.
Yeah, and we certainly have our own experiences we can talk about.
Yes, we do. We do have our own experience, and we will discuss it. It may hurt some feelings, but it's probably something that needs to be said because, that type of thing gives this field zero credibility, and it just continues to hurt the field. And it's probably one of the main reasons, obviously, that the science community doesn't take notice. So, but that should prove to be an interesting show, and I'm sure we'll get a very interesting lot of callers in on that. Obviously, a lot of people donated a lot of things for the Roundup also. There was a lot of door prizes and things that were, given to help support the Roundup. So can't say enough about the fine people that provided things like that to everybody. Let's see. I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting anyone. I'm thinking here, DB. I know I'm forgetting somebody, and somebody's going to get upset.
Well, my memory's not the good one, so if you're relying on my memory, you're really in trouble.
I know. I can't say enough about Eric Altman. I mean, Eric, if it wasn't for Eric, we wouldn't have even been there. It was Eric's great friendship that helped to be able to even give us the opportunity to be at this thing. It definitely was something I'll never forget, and I'm glad I took plenty of pictures. And we will be posting those pictures for everybody to see. It was great to be able to shake the hand of Bob and actually take a picture with him. And I got a signed Patterson, what is that, frame 352? I got a frame 352 of the Patterson creature, and he signed it for me, which was great. I don't know, man. I'm just it's the best time I've ever had, DB. It was great. I wish you could have been here. I wish I could have been there too.
I probably would have.
Yep, you would have. We're going to get you to one of these things one day. Yeah, you can go to the Texas conference with us.
Well, that's another one that's far away.
Yeah.
I have trouble making it to the ones I can drive to.
October, I think it is coming up, so that should be a good time too. I can't think of anyone else that I've forgotten. We don't have any other callers, do we?
Well, let me take a look. We do not have any new callers.
Okay. All right. What's that?
That's good. So,
yeah, I could.
Anything else that happened?
I could thank Squaw Rock. Squaw Rock is the place we stayed. Squaw Rock Resort. Is that what it's called? Squaw Rock Resort. Those folks put up with us for 3 nights. So, coming in late, stumbling in real late, 3, 4 in the morning. Couldn't half walk because we're so tired.
How many TVs did Bruce throw into the pool?
How many TVs? Well, there really wasn't any TVs to speak of there. They don't have any cable. They don't have, and the smoke detectors don't work very, very well. We had to do a little bit of reconstruction on the smoke detector because it decided to beep in the middle of the night when we hadn't had 3 hours of sleep. So it conveniently ended up outside. Because we couldn't get it apart to take the battery out because they had painted it shut. So we did the next best thing. We took it out. Oh, goodness.
Just hope there's no fire.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't work anyway. The battery was dead, so I don't guess it really matters. Hopefully they'll change that out before the authorities here can go down there and say, hey, I've got the fire marshal needs to check that out. But yeah, they were great. And then we had where we stayed last night was Mountain View Lodge, which is right outside of Randall's Packwoods in Packwood, Washington. That lodge was beautiful. We were spoiled when we got in that lodge. It was just a beautiful place, and we actually had cable TV there. We watched a couple episodes of Cops. I don't know what we learned from that, but we watched it. Tonight we're just staying at the Comfort Inn waiting for our plane trip out of here tomorrow, which I dread because that's not very fun. So, and that was about the gist of it. It was just great meeting everybody. I'd love to do it again if I ever get the opportunity. As you all know, though, it's not a cheap thing to do, and I probably chose a bad time to do it, but I figured if I didn't do it now, I might not ever get to do it again. So it was just a good time, that's all I can say. So, DB, do you have any final thoughts? I see we're down to about a couple minutes.
Well, let's see how we can waste them. There were some things that they were talking about at the conference that we might get into just a tiny bit. We already talked about the Bill Munn's presentation, which I think is going to turn out to have been an important. His discovery will turn out to have been important if it is confirmed. And like I said, since it involves mathematics, I'm really not qualified to make any kind of expert comment on it. But from what I could understand of it, he's made a pretty good case that the camera lens really was a 15 millimeter, and that means that the creature had to be of a certain size. And when people figure out what that range could possibly be, I really think that's going to be a kind of evidence that will make an impact, will have an impact on some people's opinion of what that film shows. Right.
Yeah, and I tell you what, since we're talking about getting Scott Nelson and Scott Harriet on the show, I say we try to invite Bill Munns on the show too.
Oh, absolutely.
It'd be great to get him on too, if we can get him out here. So.
Did you get his contact information while you were out there?
No, but I can find him. That won't be a problem.
All right. Of course you can.
So I guess we're about wrapped up. Looks like you're probably looking at the switchboard. My phone says we only got a minute.
Yeah, she's telling me we got 60 seconds or so.
Okay.
No, 25 seconds.
Oh, gosh. Well, I guess we better wrap this up.
We never did our commercial. So we're going to have to do our commercial right at the end here.
We can do that. We can do that. But everybody, don't forget to tune in next week, everybody. We're going to do the hoax show. How do hoaxes affect the field of study for Bigfoot? I think it'll be interesting.
Yep.
So, DB, I am done, and I will see you when I get back.
All right. Take care.
Take care, everybody, and good night.
Good night and good luck. And now you will begin to hear Sasquatch Watch Radio advertising as soon as I can read these things and figure out which one you're supposed to get. And here we go.
Are you tired of the same old boring radio? Looking for something with a bit of an edge? Then sit down, strap in, and hold on tight, for you're about to be taken beyond the edge.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's get ready to rumble! It's down and dirty paranormal talk radio that takes you beyond the edge. Join us here on Blog Talk Radio Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern for Beyond the Edge Radio, as we interview the everyday investigator to the seasoned researcher. From ghosts and hauntings, demonology, UFO and alien life forms, cryptozoology, psychic phenomenon, and other mysteries and unusual anomalies. Paranormal talk radio that goes beyond the edge, and it's right here every Friday night at 9 as we take you from the boring everyday normal into the world of the paranormal. Think you're brave enough? Then lock your doors, open your minds, and join us if you dare. Beyond the Edge Radio, Friday nights 9 p.m. Eastern, only on Blog Talk Radio. Beyond the Edge Radio is an anomalous entertainment production. Check us out at beyondtheedgeradio.com.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
There's only one road into Key West, but you won't believe where it can take you. Travel back in time to a city rich with history. Discover amazing artists and musicians. Taste seafood fresh off the boat, or just kick back and soak up the island vibe. For more about Key West, visit flakeys.com. Key West, close to perfect, far from normal.